Welcome back to RWRT Roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, everybody. I'm Tristan Harlan here with my good friend, my good co-host, my best friend in the world, Cooper Metter. Cooper, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. We're coming off a big A-State dub, and we got a bunch of action here on RWRT Roundtable today.
Yeah, Coop, so like you mentioned, we played Grambling State last weekend, and man, what a game that was to open up the season for the Red Wolves. You just got to look at the stats if you really want to know the tell of the game. The final score, 58-3, Arkansas State manhandled them Tigers down there from Grambling State. Passing yards, James Blackman looked absolutely phenomenal. Johnny Lang looked absolutely fantastic running the ball. The Arkansas State Red Bulls had no problems at all moving the ball down the field, getting the ball in. So even on third downs, they went 50%, 6 for 12. Man, they were just able to really do their brand of football, which is what Coach Jones preached about all preseason long. You really got to look at the highlights if you really want to know how well they played. James Blackman, he was able to run the ball really well. He was able to get in the end zone twice. Not to mention all the running backs. We had, I think, 5 different people get in the end zone just from running the ball.
Yeah, it was one of those games. A-State dominated from the very start of it. You know, defense held Grambling to 102 yards total the whole game. You know, that was great to see after, defense struggled a lot last year, and everyone's on them, defense needs to step up, defense this, and you know what, they came out there and had a tremendous game overall. And like you're saying, offense, you scored 58 points in the season opener. How much more can you ask for? And the running game was just perfect, something A-State struggled with all last year. We didn't even break 1,000 yards rushing as a team last year, and we compiled up 334 in the first game. And I don't know what they're cooking up in that locker room, but I want in on it.
Right, so you really got to look at it like this. You brought up the running game, you brought up the defense, but I saw a tweet on Twitter during the game, maybe a little bit after the game, but Arkansas State topped their number of rushing touchdowns set last season in just 45 minutes of football in the 2022 season. How great is that? You got to know Coach Jones is loving that locker room right now.
Yeah, Coach Jones, after last year, the first game last year against UCA, we won, I think it was like 40-21, something like that. But it wasn't a, dominant win. And to come out here, have a good dominant win to start the season after all the talks, Butch Jones, Arkansas State, they're not ready for the Sun Belt. They're going to be at the bottom feeders. Well, they're just showing everyone right now that they're meant for this top competition, and that Sun Belt Conference Championship, it's going to be coming home to Jonesboro this year.
Yeah, Cooper, so you really got to look at the highlights if you really want to know how well Arkansas State played during the game. Like I said, James Blackman, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. One, his helmet actually fell off, and he was able to, run his mouth a little bit, get in the head of the opponent. As you're seeing here, James Blackman, like I said, just dropped back. Look, had somebody wide open, found his man right there on the sideline. He looked around, had no one around, and he got in for the 6 for the touchdown.
Yeah, and Fleming's had a great game at the wide receiver, the transfer from Oregon State. He's a smaller dude, but he's showing, size doesn't matter in football. Go out there, catch the ball, speed kills, and it surely did show that on the field.
Right, so everybody's talking about, it's just Grambling State. It's not a competition like you're going to play next week. It's not no Sun Belt competition. Well, you know what? Let me tell you this. I don't care what it is. It's college football. You're going to face some good teams. You're going to face some bad teams. When you're playing the bad teams, sure, your offense is going to look a little better, but your defense wins championships. Why here? Gets through the line, whoop, hits him hard, and the ball comes out, and we almost got on top of it, but they were able to get the ball back. But, look at the score. They weren't able to get no points off of it.
Yeah, it was just one of those games. I think they had maybe 3 total yards at the end of the first quarter or something like that. It was just all Arkansas State. James Blackman, all last year, everyone thought he was supposed to be this big guy from Florida State, didn't have the season he wanted. And he comes back to A-State one last season, and he's already proven, this is my team. I'm going to be the captain to sell this ship to a championship.
Yeah, Cooper, so you were actually on the field getting a lot of this footage along with James Lowry, Kobe and Peyton. They all got good footage, so thank you guys for that. But, man, what was it like on the sideline there, just feeling the intensity from the Red Bulls football team?
It was something, a high school game compared to a college game, it's so different. The atmosphere of the crowd, you had the crowd into it all game. It was just really nice to be on that field. You have your players getting hype on the sideline, you have your fans going crazy, and it was just like it was just fun watching the players, going to the sideline, heads hanging up high. They're not, down on each other. And it was just like, you know what, they're out here playing football and they're having fun doing it.
Yeah, Cooper, so before the show, we were actually talking about player of the game. And Cooper, I think it's time to reveal who we thought won that prestigious award.
Yeah, and that's going to go to running back Johnny Lang. He had 124 yards and a touchdown on 13 attempts and broke one for 49 yards. And it was just an all-around dominant game from everyone, but I just feel like Johnny Lang just, he stood out from all the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at it this way. Arkansas State last season, they struggled running the football. They struggled passing the football. James Blackman, he had a little bit of injury concern there early in the season, but man, that athletic competition is just something beyond all means. And, it's really fun and great to see that football's back in Jonesboro to a level of intensity that everybody knew that was going to come back eventually. Everybody counted Butch Jones out towards the end of the season when we went 2-10, and now the start of this season, they kind of counted him out as well. Even Josh Pate, I want to go back to that again, but Josh Pate even told me pretty much that I didn't know what I was talking about when I had my faith in Butch Jones. But you know what? This game kind of opened their eyes to a little bit to some of the people to say, hey, they're a team now. They're together. They're together. Excuse me, language is hard sometimes, and they're really behaving like a team. But if you really want to talk about some athletic competition, you got to look at the rest of the schedule. We got some good teams. We got some bad teams. Around the Sun Belt, Old Dominion, they upsetted West Virginia. Who could have seen that coming? Virginia Tech. Thank you. Sorry. It's Virginia. I got 50% of it right. But yeah, Coop, you got to look at it. Man, what excited you most about this Arkansas State football team?
Well, what excited me most was that, we finally got that offensive power back. When you talk about A-State football, you think of their, high-scoring team moving the ball downfield in 2 or 3 plays. We saw that all night with breaking with 50-yard runs. We had 49-yard runs. We had James Blackman airing it out. And it was just exciting to see the offense finally get back and going. And when you really think about it, you were talking about how Old Dominion did upset Virginia Tech. You got to look at App State as well, because they put up a great fight against North Carolina, and what a game that was.
Yeah, Coop. So all the Sun Belt teams, they played exceptionally well, and a lot of them surprised some of us because, we really counted Old Dominion out in the preseason.
Yeah.
We really said, okay, it's Old Dominion. The NCAA 14 mind came out, and it's like, okay, it's Old Dominion. Arkansas State should be able to run the floor with them and do what they want to do, kind of like we did to Grambling State. But, now that we saw what happened in week 1, it's just beautiful to know that college football is back. But, you want to talk about some athletic competition. But you got to look at the Arkansas State ROTC program with the Howler. The Howler is coming back to the campus. It's going to be on September 17th, 2022. It's going to start at 8 a.m. until complete. It's $30 if you want to do it by yourself, but $125 for a team up to 5. The Howler, it's a 7-mile obstacle course and mud run throughout the Arkansas State campus. Man, Cooper, I don't know how much 2 people cost, but I think we may have to call 3 other buddies, and we may have to run that course ourselves.
I'm going to need to start doing a little bit more intense workout in the gym if I'm going to be running 7 miles. I don't know if I could do that.
Right, but real quick, before we send it to break, we want to thank our friends out in Tubetown for picking up Red Wolf Roundtable up for their airing of us every Saturday morning. So thank you guys for airing our show. But Cooper, when we come back, we're going to have a special guest join us on the desk. I think up next, Easton John is going to be coming back from his hiatus from Red Wolf Roundtable. So stick around, guys. When we come back, your friend Easton John will be right here on Red Wolf Roundtable.
ASU TV News, your local source for news, weather, A-State events, and more. Tune in to ASU TV News now.
ASU TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to West Side football and more, ASU TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
ASU TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU TV News, West Side Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU TV today.
At Arkansas State, we want you to go. Go where learning soars, takes flight, and rockets ahead. Go for experiences, internships, and scholarships. We want you to go. Become A-State Maine. Are you ready to go? Go.astate.edu for details.
I thought we had good preparation, and not only the week of preparation, but the week prior when school started. I thought our players did a really good job that way, and I thought we attempted to play to a standard, and we're still not there yet. We have a long ways to go, but I think our players are starting to believe. I know they're starting to believe in that standard, and they started to kind of see an identity start to build a little bit with our mentality, with our toughness, with our effort, our strain, our pursuit to the football. You know, I thought you started to see things. I thought we played complementary football in all three phases, but probably the better term is I thought we played connected football. And connected goes a long way in terms of complementary football, but also team chemistry, sidelines, guys coaching each other up, the pure joy and excitement after a win in the locker room. You know, excitement from the younger players, but the older players kind of taking the younger players under their wings, the sideline communication, in-game communication, all those things. I thought we were a connected football team. When you look at, in terms of players, we played 67 players had an opportunity to put their identity on video, their football identity, and out of those 67 players, 43 were either freshmen or sophomores. And then when you look at it, we had 29 players play their first games as Arkansas State Red Wolves, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. And so, you know, I thought our seniors, I thought our older players did a good job. But really the maturity of our younger players, I think, kind of played itself out as well. But as we all know, we have a lot of things to improve on, a lot of things that we need to do to continue to grow and build this football team and work to play winning football.
Certainly a good coaching staff, good players who, they've added some new pieces. When you look at some of the guys who have joined their team, they come from very good programs, and so they have talent. Got off to a good start last week. So, and played some teams really tough last year. When you look at some of the teams that they played, they were in those games, even though maybe their record wasn't as good as they wanted to. And I know with that coaching staff, they're much improved this year. So, we got to do a really good job of getting ready for a noon kickoff, because that's a lot different than it was last week, and then playing up to our standard.
With James Blackman coming out so strongly this first game, what's one thing that not only you and the rest of the team, but James Blackman focus on for this Ohio State game?
Well, I think continue to grow and develop. James and I spoke about that. I think the big thing is he had a couple forced throws where he predetermined where he was going with the football and probably didn't follow the rules of the play accordingly and kind of guessed. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just trust in what you see, trust your training, and then play fast. There was one play where we called a play. It was a shot play. It was for a particular coverage. We didn't get it, and he exhausted his progression, and he got the ball down to his third progression in the read, and it ended up being an explosive play for us. And I think that was growth and maturation of a quarterback. And he was able to exhaust the progression, get his feet ready to play. He had to push the pocket. And so I think those are things that we're going to need, is just the pocket presence, him throwing with his feet, getting his feet in line with his targets, and then taking what they give him. And, for the most part on Saturday, I thought he was very efficient. He managed the game, and there was probably only one or two throws that, he would like to have back, and those were the couple that he predetermined.
Coach, over the course of the game, a lot of the players had a lot of emotions after big plays. Most notably, James Blackman had a rushing touchdown. Helmet got knocked off. He got up, started chirping, started, celebrating with the team. How great is it, or how important is it for you as a coach to see that your players are connecting like true brothers, like they want to be, and see them celebrating after big plays?
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. And that was one of the things, when I think back about the game and evaluated it, that was one of the best things I saw, is when I said we were a connected team, we were a connected team. And we've been that way, and we've worked hard on that. But that shows you that our team believes in each other. But to be able to see the celebrations, the excitement, and I think the joy, the pure joy and excitement when one of their teammates makes a play. I didn't see anybody having selfish motives. I didn't see anybody pouting when they didn't get the ball or when they missed a play. And to me, that's what it's all about. And we're going to need that, because you really measure it when you have adversity. And, we know at some point that's coming down the road. But the more connected you are, the more closer you are as a football team and a football family, you're able to overcome all that.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable, everybody. And you're back. Hey, buddy, how are you doing?
What's going on, man? And thanks for having me back on the show, guys. I'm ready to go and ready to talk some sports. So
yeah,
let's get it. But I think I need a new shirt, though, because I'm going to need an official Red Wolf T-shirt. This ain't just cutting it. I mean, the black, I'd rather have that nice Red Wolf Roundtable logo here. So please make that happen.
We'll call it out. We'll call it out. So
okay.
If you didn't know, and the reason why you're here today is because this coming Saturday,
yes,
the Arkansas State University travels to Columbus, as long as Cooper and I, we're traveling to with Mr. Sullivan. We're traveling to Columbus to watch the Red Bulls play the Ohio State University Buckeyes. And Easton, before we get too carried away with our predictions, how are you feeling initially about the game?
The game, I think Ohio State is a great football program. They've won countless championships, but Ohio State is going to come in and handle business, and Arkansas State has nothing to lose, and they should just go in there and have fun and make sure that they, get the job done, I guess. If they want to win, they got to just keep their head on straight.
Cooper, what about you? How are you feeling initially about this game against Ohio State?
Well, like you're saying, it is Ohio State, legendary program, led by C.J. Stroud. Their starting wide receiver won't be there, but I feel like that won't really do too much. I saw in an article that Butch Jones was saying, we had mistakes against Grambling, but, you know, if we make those same mistakes this week, those are probably going to be turned into turnovers and points, you know. Like Keeson was saying, Arkansas State really has nothing to lose. Like, I mean, to be honest, all the experts think Ohio State's going to win. So you go out there, you just play your butt off, you know, whatever happens, happens. But I really think Ohio State, you know, they struggled against Notre Dame, but, you know, they're going to go in, take care of business, and we're going to drop to 1-1, but, you know, there's nothing to hang your head low about.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I think the most important thing that Arkansas State can do this next game is protect James Blackman as much as possible. They got some big dudes on the other side of that line, so that offensive line has really got to make sure James Blackman is protected and not getting sacked 24/7, because we don't want him getting injured this year.
Right. Well, Cooper, you brought up a great point about how Ohio State really struggled with Notre Dame, and you know we were able to get the stats from that game. So let's take a look at some of those stats and see how they fared against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You know, they won 21-10. They were great through the air, almost had the similar amount of yards that we had against Grambling. They threw for 223. They were able to run the ball as well. They had almost 400 yards total for their offense. They kind of struggled on third down a little bit, not as much as Notre Dame did, but they still didn't exceptionally well like the Big Ten schools should against that team. But, you know, you brought up a great point as well. James Blackman, we're playing what a lot of people were calling preseason a Heisman winner quarterback.
Yes.
So you got to look at that quarterback breakdown as well from the past two games. You know, you got James Blackman, you got C.J. Stroud. Who's the better quarterback in that situation? You know, in their last games, you got to look at it this way. Stroud, he had more completions on attempts. He has some more yards, but you got to look at the quarterback rating. You know, a lot of people say, oh, quarterback rating, it's not a big deal. It's just another statistic for the quarterback to look better by themselves. But, you know, when it comes down to it, it really matters in the trenches, in the crunch time. You got C.J. Stroud throwing 223 yards against Notre Dame, a big school, and you got James Blackman throwing 210 against Notre Dame. But the reason why James Blackman, Grambling, thank you. The reason why James Blackman has those 210 yards because we didn't even include what he did on his legs, on his feet.
Well, he didn't even play the all game. He got taken out midway through the third quarter because there's no need for him to play all that the whole game, honestly.
Right. So, like I said, we didn't even include what he did on the ground rushing. He had 2 touchdowns, and I'm sure he had even more yards rushing. And you brought up another good point. He got taken out. We haven't seen that unless he's hurt because, you know, last year he got taken out and, you know, we put a snake in at quarterback. But it was because Blackman had got hurt. So now you have Blackman a full healthy, and he put on a lot more muscle too.
Yes, he did.
You have him healthy. You have nothing to lose. That sounds perfectly like a trap game, if you ask me.
And the thing I'm looking more at with that Ohio State-Notre Dame game is the rushing yards, man. They are going to be run heavy the whole game, I feel like Ohio State is. They're not going to be passing the ball. They're going to want to run the ball at you many, many times, get their run game set up, and then they're going to sneak attack you with the passing game. And C.J. Stroud's going to work his arm and hit every receiver downfield. So we still just got to stay level-headed, play our game, and get going.
And fans, this game, it could get ugly. So don't.
Yeah.
We're not going to be playing the number 3 ranked team every single week. You know, you can't compare, well, last week, Grambling and Ohio State are 2 completely different teams. You know, with this, if we do lose, then, you know, it's one of those.
You just got to
get over it and throw it away.
Take the pill and swallow it. And
then focus on Memphis because we're going to beat Memphis because,
yeah, that's going to be a great game.
Who likes Memphis?
That's going to be a great game.
I know 2 people in the city of Memphis that loves those Tigers down there on Beale Street. But, you know, regardless of that, you know, real quick before I get too heavy into my predictions and I talk for 4 hours on end, what is y'all score predictions for the Ohio State game realistically?
Realistically, here, Cooper, you start first.
All right, realistically, I feel like, you know, we're not going to see Ohio State put up, you know, 60s because by third quarter, you know, we're going to have players in, get some playing time. Ohio State's going to take starters out. And so realistically, I can see the final score being about, I'd say 45-7, Ohio State.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, I was going a little bigger, but 55. I think we'll get a couple scores in there. I think we'll get to at least 13 or 14 right there, right in there.
Well, I hope we get to 14 because that means we'd miss a PAT. If our special teams are struggling, we got a whole new thing to worry about. But regardless of that, real quick before I go into my whole spiel, realistically score outcome, I say we score 2 touchdowns early, get a field goal, and we probably lose about 45-17.
Okay.
We scored a too quick punch. We go up 14-0, and then Ohio State gets
Oh,
to
you
us.
think you're going to have us? We're going to actually lead for a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You got to give the fans a couple inches. If you know what
You
I'm
think we're
saying.
going to go out in the beginning of the game and
Opening drive.
go down the field?
Of course.
That is a Tristan
course.
Harlem take
Of
if I've
course.
ever heard
Of
one,
course.
man.
I
hope.
Josh is going to be coming for you soon if you keep talking.
But anyways, okay, so look at it this way. Let me break it down for you why I say that, okay? You brought it up. You said we have nothing to lose.
Yeah,
James
true.
Blackman has everything to prove in this game because he came from Florida State, and he has everything to show that these fans in the national-wide collegiate athletic spectrum of beauty that is college football, that, hey, I can still hang with the big boys. Just because I'm at a smaller school like Arkansas State doesn't mean that I can't go out and throw at least 100 yards against a Big Ten team that's probably going to win their conference. But look at it this way, okay? Let's say we do somehow, by the grace of God, win the game. Could you imagine the headlines? Red Wolves top Buckeyes. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just think back to a couple years back, a lot of years back, when Appalachian State beat Michigan in the Big House.
That is true. I mean, there is always a what if in sports. Like the 60 in the March Madness, the lowest seed in the tournament can beat the 1 seed. It's sports, and that's why we all love sports, is because anything can happen in a game.
And if we're talking about upsets, A-State wise, them Aggies down of Texas A&M know a little something about getting beat by the Red Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could ask Mr. Sullivan all about that. He knows that like the back of his hand. That story he tells all the time. I love that story. It's my favorite story. But anyways, you got to look at it this way, A-State fans. Look, let's be real here. We know we're going to lose. We know we're going to go out there. We're probably going to get blown out. C.J. Stroud's probably going to add another game to his Heisman resume. But you got to take this game with a grain of salt, okay? Let's say we go out there, score 17 points. If we score more than 10 points, I'm calling it a victory for the Red Bulls. Because you go out there against the number 3 team in the country to
Score more than Notre Dame.
Exactly. You scored more than Notre Dame against the number 3 team in the country. That's a moral victory. Now, of course, in the win-loss record, it's not going to be a victory. But look at it this way, okay? You're coming out. You have a brand-new team. Coaches promised a brand-new scheme, a brand-new attitude, and this team seems like they're playing like a team, not being too selfish or anything. So you go out there, you score 17 points. Sure, you have that moral victory to carry you throughout the season. Not a loss that's going to down your season because everybody expects us to lose. You go out there, get 17 points, have that moral victory, and you go into Memphis. Now, like we've been saying, Memphis is going to be the test of time game for Butch Jones and the Red Wolves.
Yeah, and I would just want to add, getting to play Ohio State doesn't come around often to schools like Arkansas State.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I am so glad that we're playing Ohio State this year. I'm happy. I can't wait to watch it, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, Coop. So, like we've been preaching, we're going to go down to Columbus and see this game live and in person. And if you want to keep up with us on our trip to Columbus, you got to follow us on Twitter. You got to follow us on Instagram. And, heck, you can even like the Facebook page if you can find us. So, regardless of that, guys, Easton, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you for the prediction. But, Coop, I think it's time we send the fine ladies and gentlemen watching us on ASU TV, on Toontown, on YouTube, anywhere you're watching us. I think it's time we bid them farewell and good night. And we will see you guys next time. And watch out for us in Columbus. This has been Red Wolf Roundtable.